It's recording now. Yeah.
Ready.
Ready. So we're good. I think. Yeah. So this is not everyone is able to uh, enable their mic. You are able to do it, right?
Yeah.
It is moderator mode. Moderator mode means what they can do. Jahnavi joined. So, hi, we're seeing a lot of people getting joined. Hi Ajay, thank you so much. Cornelius, probably sorry, like if I pronounce your name something wrong. Yeah, so many people are joining. We are really happy to see all of you joining this. And I see like people from different countries are joining us. We are very happy. Uh, Not sure like why they are not able to turn on their mix.
So, is anyone able to speak here? Like,
Anyone able to unmute themselves? Can you just confirm over chat if you're not able to unmute yourself?
no issues.
Okay, okay, got it. I think we don't have any issues there. Hey, hi Ajay. Thank you so much for joining us.
Hi, Ajay.
Okay, someone else also joined. Hi Radhakrishnan. Nice. We're seeing a lot of folks.
Okay, we'll wait
I
for.
mean, like, so I
Mhm.
think probably I'll start in 2 minutes.
Yeah.
But so I'm really happy, like seeing people joining in, and because like so that's a Saturday night. Tomorrow is like a World Cup final, so we are not sure like how many people would join, and I see people from everywhere is joining, and I think we are really happy. Hey Kelvin, nice seeing you. And so Kelvin is like started CNC of journey. He's been
Okay.
doing great. I think so. I hope like someday he will also talk. Give us a presentation. Hi Gandhi, and yeah, seeing a lot of people here. We are really happy. Thank you so much everyone for trusting us, for learning with us. So we are about to start. I think so. Uh, okay. So so I hand it over to Akanksha. So there are a couple of things which I have to explain about women in CNCF. So women in CNCF motto is to encourage more and more women into the CNCF ecosystem, and encourage everyone to join the CNCF ecosystem, and help to uh, you know make sure like we help to share the knowledge of the CNCF projects, and we help to make sure like so we connect with everyone and promoting the CNC of knowledge. Like so currently at this containerized world, working on with most of our IT is like working with containers, Kubernetes, and its solutions. And I would personally feel like learning about CNCF project will help you to apply it at your workplace and learn and grow in your field and help your organization with the best solutions that you can give. So I just want to see everyone can do anything, and so we want all of you to share your knowledge and learn from each other. That's the motto of women in CNCF, and we have been working and continuously hosting a lot of workshops, virtual workshop at present. We are planning for in-person workshops in Hyderabad, probably we'll be doing it in December. We'll announce the dates and everything soon, and we are planning to do it in multiple places as well. And other than that, we are doing some interviews with the CNCF experience of people who are involved in CNCF ecosystem. We are continuously hosting them in our Women in CNCF channel. So we're doing our best to help with everything. And thank you so much everyone for today, and we are happy to see everyone here. So coming to our speaker, Akanksha has been doing great job. She's working as a software engineer in infra cloud technology. She started the CNCF journey. She started sharing knowledge through KCD. She is one of the speaker at KCD Chennai recently, and she do speak at local meetups. And also she do recently she also spoke at GopherCon. She has a great knowledge in containers, Go, and everything over there. I'm happy to host you, Akanksha, today. I think I have given all the information. I think it's all you, Akanksha. I know. Let's start with the presentation and everything. Yeah.
Yeah, everyone. Thank you. So, hi everyone. Yeah, happy to see you all here at this time. So, yeah, let's start. So today I'll be covering with Helm. That's 101. So basically, just a basics of Helm, and so you don't have to. I mean, it's okay if you don't know much about these things or even Kubernetes as well. So this is this is just a one-on-one course. Maybe in future we could cover up some other in detail topics as well for the same. So yeah, let me start. So I have a presentation ready. I'll share my screen and
Yeah.
yeah. Okay. So yeah, so before starting, a little bit brief about myself. Bhavani almost covered everything. So I am a product engineer at InfraCloud Technology. I am a member of Kubernetes, and I mostly work in Go and Kubernetes. Around these things only, I have some open contributions as well. So you could find me on these ID on Twitter and GitHub. So feel free to connect there. Uh, okay. Okay, so today, as we are going to cover on Helm, so first of all, this is the brief agenda that we are going to cover today. So first of all, I mean, we would see how we deploy apps on Kubernetes. Then we will see how Helm comes into picture, and then some basic Helm utilities or commands that are there. Then we will talk about this architecture of the Helm, like how it communicates, and then we'll see a component that is the charts in Helm. Then we will see in brief like how we can create our own charts in Helm. Okay, so the first one is like deploying an app on Kubernetes. So let's say I have taken a demo Nginx app. So that is a normal application, a server application that you would just deploy, and then you would see a page. So that is a simple web application. Uh, so now what we have for like for Nginx app. I'm assuming like for you would have like some basic knowledge of like Kubernetes and then YAML resources. So for Nginx app, what we would how we have to deploy it is like we would use a service resource, and then we would have a deployment resource. So the service would expose the deployment resource, and we can access our Nginx app with this service that is deployed in our Kubernetes cluster. So I mean, for our app, we just need a service and then a deployment resource. So that's how our app is going to look like. But in normal scenarios, it won't be like this. I mean, this is a dummy for this is for demo purpose. But in normal scenarios, you would have a lot of Kubernetes resources and a lot of manifests to manage. So okay, so we are going to consider this for now. Now, if we see, like, let's say, let's consider a scenario where you want to deploy these two resources. Right now, we have two. So, what could you do? So, let's say you have two manifest file, one for the deployment and one for the service. So, what we would usually do is like create those deployment resource and service resource and manually, and then that's how that's the using kubectl. So the way we are deploying our resource using kubectl. So that is one way of doing it. But there are some challenges on deploying our app with kubectl. So like challenges, like let's say you have deployed, okay, let me go through a basic demo of how what I'm talking about. So let's say I have these two files, that is deployment and service. If I see, so I have this deployment resource that is running an Nginx image, and then if I have this service that is exposing the app, uh, exposing the Nginx app. Now, if I have to create these resources, I'm using kubectl and I'm creating both the resources. So that's how my resources are created. But the challenge here is like, uh, I mean, you would not be able to configure these is like configure these across environments. So for example, if you want to use this manifest file for like prod environment, so you won't want to use the type node port, you would want to use load balancer there, or you would want to use a specific image there that is not for local purpose. So in that case what normally you would do is like creating an either update this or create and have a new set of files that would have the updated resources, I mean updated values. So this, I mean, across environment, if you want to deploy it, you would there would be this is not a user friendly way to manage it. Now there are other challenges as well, like versioning. So versioning as well. So if you want to manage multiple versions, so let's say you have deployed it right now using kubectl, now you want to upgrade it. So you updated those values, and then let's say you want to use a new image, so you updated those values, and uh, then you want to go back to your previous values. So there is like you would have to again update and then then again apply kubectl, use kubectl apply to go go back to your previous change. So that is also a challenge. I mean, there is no standard way of doing it. Then the other thing is like the one uh, who is using kubectl, they would need to know the Kubernetes details as well. And the other main thing is like there is no way to distribute this chart distribute these resources. So let's say you want to distribute this application to someone to deploy it on their machine. So you would have to share these files, and like this is not a standard way. Right now we have two files, but let's consider a scenario where we would have multiple files and multiple files, directories, and everything. So ideally we should have a way to package it, and then we could distribute it. So yeah, I mean, these are all the challenges using kubectl. So there are multiple manual intervention that we would have to do it with kubectl. But Now here comes Helm. So Helm is like it helps with packaging and distributing the application. So these these two files that you see, we can package it, and then it provides an easy way to distribute it to others so that they can run it on their machine. Now it hides Kubernetes complexity. I mean, you don't have to know a lot on Kubernetes. Then you can pass dynamic values. So right now, like I was talking, so you have this service type of cluster IP right now. But if you want to use, you have this as a node port. But if you want to use load balancer, so you could you could change the configuration to use service of type load balancer, and I mean that is there is a way. So that is simple to do it with Helm. Now it tracks deployments. So let's say I was giving a scenario of upgrading your kubectl resources, uh, but so using kubectl there was no easy way, but with Helm you can like roll back to your previous deployments or previous releases, uh, and use them. So Helm keeps a track of all those revisions that you are deploying. Then you can deploy multiple workloads. You can deploy same workloads multiple times. So here if you see in a kubectl way, so you have two resources. Now if you go on deploying it again, either you would have to update it with a new name, or you would have to give this files a new name, or else you would get an error. But with Helm, I mean, you could provide Helm. We deploy releases, so you could provide dynamic name to the releases as well. So you would have two instances of same application in a cluster. So that are some things that Helm helps with. Okay, so what is Helm actually? So it is like a package manager for Kubernetes application. So this application that we had, that had deployment and services, so Helm helps in packaging this, and then it manages that application as well. So managing in case of managing the application in terms of upgrade, rollbacks, and everything. So yeah, and then it provides a central configuration. So you have your you have your values that you would want to change in future in a file that is called values.yaml, and then in that file you could provide any value, and then that value are basically rendered, and then there are templates. We will talk about it in detail. So I mean, you would provide your configuration in a single file, and then you could apply it to multiple environments. So that we can do it with Helm. Now okay, so what Helm is not. So I said package manager, but it's not like a system package manager. I mean, that's not same. So it actually for Kubernetes, and not like we have on our machines. So yeah, and then it is not also a configuration management tools like uh, Chef, Puppet. So do not confuse them with this. Also, it is not a resource controller. So like uh, uh, like we have some controllers in Kubernetes, so that is also not the Helm. So uh, okay. So before we jump into some Helm commands, I would like, so there are some terminologies that we use in this terminologies, and some resources as well. So the first one is Helm. So there are two things. One is the Helm project, and then there is a CLI that is also called Helm. So when this Helm is capitalized, we talk about this project, and then otherwise we talk about these CLI. So Helm CLI helps with creating the resources like charts and releases that we are going to talk next. So the other one is chart. So chart is basically basically a consolidation of all the resources that are there. So the in our example, the in the previous example that we have, so chart is basically a chart would consolidate all those files, and then it would have some pre-configured values. So we would define templates in the charts, and then we could provide values on those template places, and then we could render them. So yeah, that is chart. We would see chart in detail in our next slides. Then release. So release is like a instance of a chart running on a Kubernetes cluster. So and so let's say you have a Postgres MySQL chart in a cluster, and you want to deploy it. So you deploy the MySQL application. Now you want to have two instances of MySQL running in your cluster. So you could use the same chart and deploy it. So you would have two different instances of MySQL running with the same chart. So that those instances are called release. So yeah, that is the release. Then there is a repository. So the term that the chart that I'm talking about, so that is like that is hosted somewhere. So that place is called repository. So we get our charts from repository, and then we deploy it. So once we deploy it, we call those deployed instances for charts. Now we'll see. Okay, I had that example. Now we'll see it in action, like what Helm could do. So I already have this Helm tool installed on my machine, and I already have a Kubernetes cluster. Now I would delete these resources.
Akanksha, you can just zoom in a little bit. So just like, yeah,
Okay, give me a second.
I think as command plus, I think it should increase your size of the command tool. No, I would say command plus.
It's not working that way.
Okay, okay.
Uh,
I think
just
if it's visible to everyone, that's fine. I think it's visible only.
if it is visible, then I think that's fine. I should have
Control
done it.
plus plus if it's Windows system.
Just give me a second.
Yeah.
Uh, I do not. Okay. Is this size column width through? Do we have text size here? I do not see it somehow.
I don't think so. Command plus.
Okay.
Okay. Yeah.
Does it work?
Yes, this is perfect.
Yeah. Okay. So yeah. So I have deleted this resources. Now I have this Helm already installed. We are using Helm version 3. Now what I'll show you is, like, first of all, we I'll so this is the Helm list command. So first of all, I talked about repo. Like we get our charts from a repository. I mean, we have repos are like places where our charts are hosted. So we have a lot of uh, we have some standard repos as well. So right now in my machine, like, I'll show you what all repos I have in repo list. So if you see, I have some of the repos. These are the URL where the charts are hosted, and I have named it as accordingly, like Bitnami and Streamg. Now, for our example, our the chart that the resources that I uh, took the example for. So I mean, in the example, the resources I had, we also have a chart hosted for that, and the chart is at this place. So I will, so uh, there is this Helm repo add. So here is my chart that, give me a second. So my chart is hosted at this location, that is helm github.io/example. I will add that chart to my Helm repo, and then I'll see Helm repo list, and then I will be able to see my charts, the chart that I added. So Okay, I have these scripts already ready. I just use them. So Helm repo list, it would help me to list all my repos that I already show you. Now we will add a repository, and then in that repository, whatever charts we have hosted there, so we would be able to see it. So we have, okay, this was already added. Now all the charts that are there in this particular repo, I would be able to install them as I mean I would be able to install them and use them in my cluster. So I have this example chart, and now this example chart is have this example repo is having a hello world chart. So uh, now to now there is a command to list repo as well. I already showed you. Now let's install the hello world example, and now you would see like all those resources that I installed earlier when I started this demo. So that would be installed on a single command. So let's use Helm. Okay, so here is this. So I have Helm, then I'm installing. So this is my chart name that I will use. Then this is my release name that I will use, and this is the repo. So this is the repo that I added. My repo name is examples, and this is the chart name that is there in repo, in example repo. So I'm going to install this, and my hello world is something that is my chart name, my release name. So if you see, this is deployed. My application is deployed. Now if I see, I will use Helm list command to list all the app name. So if you see, we have this my hello world application, and it is the first revision. Now this is the chart version, and it is deployed now. Now if I see my resources, you would see this is this. Okay, let me just show you in a single resource. So this is my deployment, and then there must be a service as well. So this is the my hello world service. Now these both of them are deployed. So what happened is like I had my i had my I had my resources in this chart that is hello world chart that was hosted on this repo, that was available on this repo, we can say, and we have added those repo on our local machine. Now what I'll do is like there is this history command that which with we can now let's talk about managing those applications. So there is this history command that we can see. So right now I have just deployed it once, so I have revision one. I can see like what was the history of this particular application. Now let's say I want to update my value. Now let's say I want to if we see okay, give me just open. So chart. Okay. So as I was say, giving an example of like right now in our chart, I have this service of type cluster IP, but I want to change it to node port. So if you see, my service is of type cluster IP. Now I want to change it to node port. And I have this service type configurable in my chart. So if I give you an example, so if you see in the chart directory, there are templates, and in the template there is this service, and in the service there is this type which is configurable. And so we can provide the value of our service type with this configuration. So while installing or while upgrading, now I have already installed my application once. Now I would want to upgrade it to upgrade it, and while upgrading I will use a new value for new value for the service type. So right now my service type is of cluster IP. Now I would upgrade it. So I have this command already written. So here if you see, we are doing Helm upgrade. We are this is our application name. Now we are telling it like this is the repo, and this is the chart name, and we want to set this value. I mean, we want to set service dot type equal to node port. So this, what this would do is like this would upgrade our existing application and use the service type node port. So this service type node port is configurable. This was not possible in our kubectl way. I mean, this was not this easy with kubectl way. Now if you see kubectl get deployment, it would be as it is. Now if you see the service has been changed to node port. And now if you see the history for this particular chart, if you see, there is a revision 2 that we just did, and and this is already deployed. As we can see, this has been changed to node port and upgrade complete. So yeah, now there is another thing, like now let's say you have upgraded it. Now you want to roll back to previous value, I mean previous revision. Let's say now you don't want to use node port. You did it by mistake and you want to use the cluster IP service only. So there is this revision that we had. If we just do kubectl rollback, sorry, Helm rollback. So you could also provide custom revision, but right now I'm not providing any revision number, so it would just roll back to a previous revision. So if I just roll back, so it has been rolled back. Now if I see my service, it is again using cluster IP. That was the first version that we deployed. So cluster IP was the first version that we were deploying. And now if we see history, uh, okay, so the first version was cluster IP, then we updated it to node port, and now we are deploying. Now we have again changed it to first version. So here you see rollback to 1. So this is how Helm manages like multiple versions and tracks multiple version. Then I was talking about multiple installations. I mean multiple releases for a same chart. So here if you see, here we have this Helm install command. I could use the same chart, that is hello world chart, and provide like my hello world too. So I already have a hello world I already have a hello world chart deploy with this particular chart, but I will use a different release name this time, and I will install it. So now I will have two instances of same chart. So if you see, these are the two instances of same chart. So yeah, these are all the helm commands uh, that I wanted to show. Now okay, so we checked on chart release history, upgrade and rollback. Now we can also clean up our, like if you want to uninstall our application, we could use Helm uninstall. Then we could also remove the repo. Okay, so I quickly wanted to talk about the architecture of the client. I won't go into much detail here. Architecture of Helm. So before talking, so we are using Helm version 3. But before talking on to architecture of version 3, I would talk on Helm 2. So here, what we had in Helm 2 was a client server architecture. So there was a stiller component that was there. So we used to, so let's say this is our Kubernetes cluster. Now we used to like have this stiller installed on our set up on our Kubernetes cluster, and that used to communicate with the API server to do the necessary operation like creating resource and everything. And then there was this Helm client that used to talk to the chart repository and pull, and then uh, uh, then do other operations, and then talk to Helm server as well. But in Helm version 3, this particular tiller component was removed, and we have directly client only architecture. So we have this Helm client directly talking to the Kubernetes API server, and communicating with the chart repository to get all the templates. So this was the architecture. I mean, this is how it takes care of like creating and deleting the resource. It directly talks to the Kubernetes API server, and this is in version 3. So what I am using in my example is version 3 only. Now we talked about charts. Now so chart is what or contains all the resources. So you could also like see what all things are there in chart. So if you want to check what are there in chart, so what you can do is like there is a helm pull command, you could use that. So once you have added your repo into the once you have added the repo, you can directly get the chart name and then pull it. So what you would see is a chart file structure. So this is how it looks like. And if I show you an example, so this is my hello world chart that it looks like. So what we have here is like the main files are like the values.yaml. So these are all the configuration values that we can provide. So we can update our replica count for deployment, then image, and then there is this is this template directory. In this template directory we have all the resources, and they have templates in them. So like I was talking about types. I what I used was types. So we for this service resource we are using a template function here, and then we are fetching the value for type from the values.yaml, whatever we are providing. So whatever we provide as service.type, that gets put in here, and then it get rendered by the engine. So yeah, these are this template directory contains the resources. Now there is this chart.yaml. So chart.yaml is what is the metadata for the chart. So if you see here is this name. API version is something that determines with what version you are going to use this Helm chart, with what Helm version. So if you are using Helm 3, mostly this is going to be a V2 version. Now description is the description for the chart. Then there is this version. So this version is important. So it says like what is your chart version. So your chart version has to be updated anytime you update something in this entire chart. So let's say you updated a template file, or added any resources in this template, so you would have to update this version as well. I mean, this version would be updated. Then there is this app version. So app version is the application version that you are using, and not the. So chart version is something that is like once you are updating the chart, but app version is the application version that you would be using for like Postgres or anything that you are using in the chart. So yeah, and the README is basically a README file that you want to hold up to. Then values.yaml, that is something talked about. So this particular chart you can also create your own chart. So this is what we have in chart. If you pull out any chart and you would see it inside. So mostly this is what we would have. And one more thing, like we could also use dependent charts. So you could also include other charts uh, in the in our own chart. So like the dependent chart, as in like if you want to use Prometheus for your application, so you could use that Prometheus chart and include that as a dependency. So yeah. Okay, so this is what I covered. Okay, so well, that was mostly on Helm. So you could also create your own chart. So like I said, that you could fetch the chart details and see what is there in it. You could also create your own chart. So like if you have, like what I had initially was a deployment and a service. So I could use this Helm create my chart command. I mean Helm create and then the chart name command, and then it would give me a directory structure for all the files that are there. And then I would just have to make custom. I would just have to add custom details in there, like my own application specific details. And then we could use the package Helm package command to package that, and then we could either share it or deploy it locally as well. So this Helm package command basically gives you a tar file, and you could use it to distribute or either deploy it locally. So yeah. Okay, so this was mostly on 101. So I've mostly covered the basics only. like what all commands are there and everything. So this is the summary, like Helm is mostly, if we summarize the entire thing, so mostly it is a package manager, and then it helps with version releases, and then it helps with customization. So we could provide custom values. Okay, so if you want to learn like more about Helm, so these are some of the links that are helpful. So you have a GitHub repository, then you have these many channels on Kubernetes Slack. Then you could find this documentation, and you could also go on to the community on this link. Yeah, thank you. So yeah, uh, let me know if you have any questions.
Thank you, Akanksha, I mean, like, it's a really great session. So we have a couple of questions being asked in chat. I think let's go over it. So there's a question from Datta. So asking about using a kubectl way, we can roll out deployment, right? Deployment keep track of versioning.
Yeah, yeah. So yeah, but it's not only about deployment, right? We are talking about a complete package. So along with deployment, you would have some dependent services as well. So I mean, that is only deployment. I mean, if you want to have like if you have some services, then there are multiple uh, uh, so an application contains not only deployment. So deployment is something that I mean, that resources handle its own pod, but for here in this scenario we are talking about multiple resources packaged into one single thing, and then we could handle multiple versions on that package. I hope I make sense. And we can also provide which version can we have. Yes, we can have values.yaml specific for each version, each environment. So right now what I had was like I had this value.yaml that was by default, but we could have values for like prod values.yaml, and then staging values.yaml, and we could apply it while installing the application on multiple environments.
Nice.
uh, what
What
are the
scenario?
scenarios which we should use? Customize. Maybe I'm not very sure on customize. Like I don't know. Maybe you would have to search it on your own. What are the scenarios we should use Helm and where not? So yeah, as I said, like it's mostly a packaging manager. So if you have multiple resources, right, and you want to deploy, you want to set it up in your Kubernetes cluster. Let's say you are writing an application, and so you would not have just one or two resources. You might have multiple resources. So right now in my application, I just considered uh, deployment and services, but there are other resources as well, like network policy, then others as well. So in that case, if you want to deploy it all, you would not want to deploy it at kubectl and then manage everything. So Helm is helpful there. I mean, you package your entire resources into a chart and then use it wherever required, and also you could share it also. How to search chart and its repo? So there is this Helm search command, uh, Helm repo search, I think. I don't remember it on top. We could see it on docs, but there is this Helm search command. Can we use the charts without adding them to our repo list? So can we use if you have your chart if you have your chart I mean, if you have created your chart locally, then you can do it. I mean, it would locally fetch it. But if you have your chart like Bitnami or any other charts like MySQL, if it comes from Bitnami, so uh, if that is on internet, I mean, you would have to add it to your Helm repo and then use it. Can you post the link for what, like, okay, Helm search repo. Let me just give you. So here is, I hope you are asking like link for Helm search repo.
Yes. Can we have values.yaml specific for each environment?
Yeah, I think I already took that question.
What is the difference between Helm and Customize?
I am not very aware on customize, so I might not be the good person to answer this.
Yeah, I think Customize is also, so we can deploy multiple resources. And similar to Helm. So I'm also not sure on the exact differences, but customize, also, we can just deploy everything over there. But I don't think customize can package like Helm. So Helm can package everything and you can share it with everyone. But customize is kind of, you can just deploy things. So just apply all the configuration at once to a cluster. So that's what I know about the differences.
Where we specify list of resources deployed in Helm. So yeah, we that's a good question. Like we specify our not, we don't specify any list. So all the files that we have is in our uh, all the files is we have it in our template, and Helm actually render those template and places our values that are provided in those template places, and then create the deployment, create the manifest actually. And how can we exclude resource for each environment? Exclude resource as in you want to exclude deployment for prod, is it like that? Like you want to exclude one resource for a particular environment? You can unmute yourself. But let's say I need a, yeah, so what, let's say I need a network policy for dev but not for prod. So what you could do is like you could have a option like if you want to deploy a network policy or not in in your values.yaml, and then you could while defining the network policy, you could add this function that if only that value is true, I mean the add network policy value is true, then only create this resource. If we could do that easily.
I think, yeah, so we're good with the questions. I mean, like, everyone, like, you can just feel free to unmute and talk about anything, ask questions, and probably give us introductions about you, whatever. So just make the another 10 minutes of our workshop to be more interactive. So you can feel free to unmute yourself and talk with us. And I think we covered up all the questions in the chat. And thank you so much, Akanksha, for your
Yeah.
wonderful session today. And so answering all the questions out there. So I would say, anyone, like, I mean, I would say just make it a little more interactive over here. So you can just feel free to unmute, and probably you can tell your stories or whatever that we to make this more interactive over there. And I should say thank you to all of you, because I see, like, people from other countries also joining, and we are really happy to see all the crowd here today. So uh, we're looking forward to hear more from you, I would say.
Yeah, I don't mind telling a little about myself. I joined because I just started working with Helm at work. Um, right now, working through some Kubernetes cluster upgrades and dealing with some deprecated APIs. And for the environment that I started working in, Helm is already being used, so I'm having to basically navigate through um, updating those deprecated Kubernetes APIs, but at the Helm level. So some of the situations are like, well, one of the situations is that we're using a dependency chart. So we actually have to go down to the dependency chart level to make sure that the upgrades are there and are consistent for us to upgrade our actual Kubernetes cluster. So I guess just to shed a little bit of light of why people are joining myself.
Thank you so
Yeah,
much.
thank you.
No problem. And yeah, this was very helpful. I appreciate it.
Thank you so much. Keep supporting us.
Of course.
Yeah, we want more people to speak and be interactive. We're happy to see all of you as well.
Yeah.
I think we have Karthik. Karthik.
Yeah, I've been currently working on Helm as well on a couple of occasions where in one of the case we are kind of creating an accelerator kit for the backstage for the clients as such. In other case, it's been this application been there for 3-4 years for us. It has already 20 to 30 repos, which is completely on Kubernetes. We use kubectl for all deployments as such. So I'm kind of working on the POC to migrate them completely to Helm. So though I'm kind of in process of slowly making them towards, so I think this is gonna definitely gonna help me to some level. So that's my question coming up is in this case we have multiple AWS instances to manage our all network cloud instances, and we have this almost 3-4 environments which handles 20 to 30 repositories to handle them. So I was not sure what would be the approach when you start using Helm. How should we start kind of migrating them to Helm, and how should we have handle those manifest files? So I'm still thinking towards it. Maybe if someone has done in the past or currently working towards it, it'd be great for me also.
Uh, Anyone have any thoughts here?
I had a question for Akanksha.
Yeah.
Are there any labs that you've done on the side that you thought helped you, I guess, conceptualize using Helm better? Whether that be like following on like a YouTube video or one of the like tutorial websites, or maybe just a GitHub repo that you followed.
Mostly I followed this. I mean, official docs only. It's very helpful. I mean, it has some cheat sheet commands as well. So mostly I do not use all, but the cheat sheet commands were very helpful. And then there were scenarios I had to handle, so I had to go through some deep in the docs only. So mostly docs were the thing that was helpful. Yeah.
Okay.
So, but let me know if you have any questions later as well. Maybe not off this call.
Sure. Sure. Yeah.
Yeah, nice. Anyone else like who wants to talk? Nancy, Kelvin.
No, I just wanted to say thank you to everyone for joining. I just joined from my car
Okay, okay.
because I was traveling. But again, I just want to thank you, Akansha, for finding out time on weekend.
Yeah,
And I've been always looking to, I mean, because I kind of see you around the CNCF community, I always wanted to hear you and hear from you about things. So maybe some other day we can have coffee chat as well.
yeah,
But yeah, thank you so much. Thank you, Bhavani, for hosting the workshop, and thank you everyone for joining. This really means a lot.
Yeah,
Yeah.
so we are really happy to see all of you today.
yeah.
Yeah, Bhavani, just want to speak.
Yes.
Uh,
Yeah,
Yeah, with regards to this one, like this is a very good session. Like probably like we were using customize, so I was asking more in terms like how Helm is different from customize. So and apart from that one, right? Like probably like I was working in Kubernetes since 2 years, and currently also we are using Kubernetes on AWS EKS. So and one more question I have, Bhavani, right? Like how can we contribute to like Kubernetes open source community or something? Like if you want to develop some utilities and all this. I see even Akanksha there, right? Since she is contributing to Kubernetes code, just want to ask, like,
Yeah, so one thing I would like to say is, so we have the Slack channels, and just join the Kubernetes Slack channels. So there, you can have multiple, for example, whatever you're interested in. For example, you wanted to contribute to docs, or you wanted to contribute it to, release side. You wanted to contribute to infra side, code side. I mean, dev side, whatever. Like you can choose between them, and before you just go there, I would say I think they do host a call every day, I mean, like weekly, so that you can just jump in there, see what's happening. So you can join the community. I think Nancy just now posted a Kubernetes community link, so you can join there. And so Kubernetes community is really big, and probably I would say for anyone to get started with any of the CNCF project, so just start looking at the CNCF landscape. You can just search CNCF landscape in Google, and you could see, what are all the different, projects. So they're like incubating projects, sandbox projects, which are like already, already being used by a lot of people, certified. I think it's not certified, it's I would say, yeah. So I think you can check, CNCF community. There will be lot of different, probably I can just show you there. 1 second. CNCF landscape. So let me share my screen. So share screen. So you can see here, like the I think you are able to view my screen, right? So
yeah,
yeah, you can see this is a CNCF landscape over here. You can see lot of projects. I would say like graduated projects, which means which are already being used by a lot of companies, lot of people. So you can see, database related, so streaming and messaging, application, continuous integration, delivery. So you can see like each and every project is categorized in how they are being used. So this is like orchestration, scheduling. So you can just look at, so these are all the projects. But to get started with the CNCF, I would say, if you wanted to contribute, just start with the starting projects. Like it's not like graduated projects already being having a lot of things. It will be difficult for you to understand if you start with the sandbox projects which are starting recently, and so that you can join their call. So it happens every, so probably you can just check any project, and you can just check their documentation, like when the you can join their Slack in Kubernetes community Slack. You can join, and join the call to understand what is happening there. So also you can start look at the pull requests, like so what are all the issues they have. And you can start with picking up something like, so they have a tags like a beginner friendly, advanced. So you can just start looking at the beginner friendly, and you can say, I'll start looking into it. And you can take help from the community. The community is very, very, I would say, so very, very friendly. So everyone will definitely help you a lot to get started with the community. I think I will just give it to Akanksha to talk more about from her experience. Yeah.
So yeah, thank you, Bhavani. So my experience has been like a little bit different. I just wanted to contribute to Kubernetes So I started looking off into the code, and it was like a huge code base, so couldn't get much from it. So I started like I looked into the website of it. There were multiple pages. People were contributing it to onto improving it. So that's how I started on to uh, I'm still looking into like contributing more into it, but then there were other CNCF projects as well, like Bhavani shared. So there you can like you can start your contributions. I mean that seemed more easy to me than directly contributing onto Kubernetes only. So yeah, that's how. I mean, there you can find like even you can find something in your own domain where you wherever whatever you are working on. So yeah, I mean, starting with there would be something you could get somewhere from that.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it's not always a code. Yeah, if you want to contribute,
Yeah,
you can
yeah,
contribute in all the ways. Like you can contribute to into documentation, you can contribute into release, you can contribute into communication and everything. So yeah,
Yeah, I just wanted to add one thing that am I audible? Yeah. So I
yeah,
just wanted to add one thing that maybe you can also join the release shadow program. That's how I got to know about the projects. I mean, I think it's a very nice way of getting familiar with different projects and different type of roles. For example, so it's basically a program which in which you help everyone in the community during the release time with communications. It could be communication. It could be making the release notes. It could also be around the bug triage. It can also be around, I think, the CI pipeline. So there are different groups. It could also be the documentation. So that there are basically different groups in which you can apply for the release shadow program, and you can get familiar with the structure of the projects. So I think maybe you can apply to that as well. Yeah, that's what I wanted to add.
yeah.
Yeah,
Thank
thank
you.
you, Bhavani.
Yeah, thank you, Sai. Thank you, everyone. I
yeah.
think yeah, we're all set. Anyone have any questions still?
And when do we have our upcoming sessions? Like,
So I think we'll plan it in